2, 1. Yo, what is up? Welcome to another episode of ArmTalk. I'm your host, as always, Chocolate Thunder Jody Williams. And today, once again, back on the show, Frank Callahan, Corey Miller. Of course, you guys know these gentlemen because they are, in fact, in charge of this new awesome thing. Well, I guess it's not new anymore because we've been talking about it for the last, year and a half now?
Yeah,
we just had our 1 year anniversary last month, I think.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, there was something on the horizon, and I'm excited for it. It's been teased, but now we got to find out what exactly is it. Can someone shed some light? Because I think once this thing gets announced and once the first edition comes out, it's going to spark everybody. Who wants to go
first? So this is an idea that I've wanted to do for quite some time, but everyone that I talked to about it thought I was crazy, and they still think I'm crazy. But mainly it was the 64 man in general, just being able to get 64 guys to come together and pull is the hard part. But as far as the sponsored athlete section of this, that is the part that I think is most beneficial to it in the long run, regardless of how many people are in there, 32, 64, whatever. I just had the gumption that I wanted to go big or go home kind of thing. So I think 64 guys is the way to go and set the pace there. If I had to, I would go down to 32, but 64 is where we want to be. But the concept is simply that I want to promote arm wrestlers who are the everyday guys, not the guys who are elites, not the guys who are almost elite. I want to promote the everyday people that are constantly going to tournaments, that are, struggling to get there because of money, that are, they just need a little help, a little bit of something to get them out to different events or whatever it is. I was lucky enough to travel a ton when I first started arm wrestling, and I went to events based on basically winning money or paying the ref or whatever it was. But, I remember doing calculations on, if I pull 6 weight classes and I place in the top 3 of every single weight class, I can get X amount of dollars. And then I would calculate how much I need, how much my gas was and everything else. So.
Oh, you're not talking about 2011 when you came to the U.S. Open and pulled 8 classes, are you?
Yeah. No, I my whole concept with that was to come in and win $3,000, and that's what I did.
I was there, and it was just like a kick in the stomach. Like, did this dude really just come all the way from Wyoming, come to Florence, Oregon at the U.S. Open and just smack everybody and get all kind of money?
Yeah.
Kudos, man. That was a good day.
Yeah, so, that's a little ridiculous for most people, but the idea here is to promote those guys that are going to everyone's tournaments anyways, that just need a little bit extra help to go to more tournaments, go to the East Coast, go to the West Coast, go to Texas events or whatever it is, that's kind of the concept here. And with enough information that we have in AERS now, we can kind of precisely define what you really are as a puller. So the idea that you are a pro, amateur, novice kind of arm wrestler, those words, we can define those. We can actually say you technically are an amateur, even though everyone in Texas thinks you aren't. You actually are an amateur. So what we plan to do is to, and this is where it gets a little confusing for most people, is we plan to take the database and pull matches from every single person and see if you have enough matches. Now, the bare minimum is 15 matches. And I say the bare minimum. That doesn't mean you're going to be considered but 15. That means that is the bottom line.
Right.
We want you to have hundreds of matches because at hundreds of matches, you are way more precise and more defined as an athlete. So, we know most people on average probably have 30 to 50 matches in the system and they are very accurate of where their rating is.
Right.
So that's the first thing. We need to define who has enough matches. Once we have that, then we're going to see, based on the different weight classes of hands, who we can gather together based on that. So, like I was pulling the numbers the other day, and in the 98 class right-handed, there was like 120 something guys that qualified, technically speaking. So,
are you pulling names out of a hat, or how does that work?
No. So what I'm going to do is, once we have the names and I vet the names, because obviously there's some outliers in there that we don't want, certain individuals going in and pounding on everybody, because that's not the concept.
I'm glad you said that. I didn't mean to cut you off, because when you say 198, we all know what's going on this weekend, right? The 198 mega round robin type deal. So there's that. I know some people are going to watch this show and go, oh, 198? Where do I fit in? I know some way, somehow, someone's going to watch this and go, hey, what about me?
Yeah.
We've had that already. And
nonstop.
There's been some nonsense people talking about, like, oh, so if I lose 4 more matches, I'll qualify in the 1550 rating. And we're like, no, we're not. We're like, we're going to do our best to vet it. We don't want people tanking their rating just so they qualify. Like, it's kind of crazy. I wanted to piggyback off Corey. He said that, having X number of matches, and like we kind of have a ballpark of whether you're, amateur, semi-pro, pro. I just wanted to mention that Corey ran Colorado State this last weekend, and we did that. We did the tiers based off of rating.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it was almost perfect. Like, you look at the tier 3 guys, those were amateurs. You look at the tier 2 guys, those were high-level amateurs, low-level pros. You look at the tier 1 guys, those are guys who have been pulling 5, 10 plus years. Like, perfect. Yes. Feedback from athletes, everybody said that they loved it. Like, there was no bad comments. One guy said, he was like, well, I was a 1500 and I don't ever pull on this arm, so I entered the tier 3 just to try it out. And those guys were like really amateur, and I shouldn't have done that, and I won't ever enter tier 3 again. And I was like, that's what we want, though. Like, I'm glad it worked out for you. Glad you realized that the tiering system, you could feel the skill level difference between these people. And I just want to say that, because a lot of people say you can't put a number on someone's performance or skill or whatever. And I'm like, seems like it works pretty well. Like, or it did this last weekend. And if every event ran like that, like if every event did the tiering system instead of just doing this, I would say like make-believe amateur pro or whatever, you just say what you are, the ratings would become even more accurate quicker. And I would assume it should just be the way everyone runs their events. There should be no, oh, what are you? And then I tell you what I am. Like, you can always pull up a tier. Like, you can always pull up into the higher rated individuals, but you just, you have to at least pull at your rating. And if every event in the country did that, we would completely eliminate this, oh, that guy's sandbagging, or that guy's not as, as much better than what he's pulling at, or whatever. Like, that would all be eliminated in less than a year.
And I agree, because, and I'll get to Christian's Green's comment in a second, his question. And I remember back in June, and Corey came to my event, and we did registration, and it was like, okay, what's your name? And then either Corey or my wife will look up the name and go, oh, your number is yada, 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 and we write that down. And then, come the day of the tournament, we shuffle everything in and go, okay, now you should be matched up with somebody close to you, not somebody who's like numbers like 1758 against somebody who's like 1321. So you don't kind of get that kind of stuff. So I think that was like the early stages. Going in now, where we're at now, here we are in October, is getting better and better.
Yeah. So your event, all we did was the matched closest seating. So it wasn't a traditional seat; it was a matched closest seating. Right. What we did in Colorado was a twofold. We did tiers, so you could not escape the tier that you made, and we seated traditional style inside of the bracket. So not a close seating. We did a traditional style seed with the tiers on top of it.
None of
So
that semi-pro bullshit. So
yeah.
Christian says this is for the people ranked under 1550.
So to clarify that again, every single weight in hand will have a slightly different starting or highest starting value. Because again, like the 98 right-handed class, the guys who are that level that we want to hit may be 1520s. They may be 1560s. We don't, everyone's a little bit different, so it just depends. We just use the 1550 as like a base number because fairly across the board, it's pretty close to 1550. But yeah, it's when your weight class gets announced, it'll be bare minimum 15 matches plus, and we will highly select more people that have more matches. So if you're just at 16 matches, you might want to bump that up to like 20-30 matches, so you get selected. And then the announcement will come out with like hundreds of people on the list. The first 64 guys, obviously, that register, pre-register, will be in, and the other ones will be out. There's a couple of things on the what's I was gonna say, the like the extras or whatever, like backup kind of people that I'm talking about doing like super matches for them. If they can end up coming, we can use them as backups or super matches, and then they can get some rating points off of that, something along those lines. But in general, once the 64 guys compete, the idea is that we will have a $5,000 reimbursement sponsorship. So, and we are taking donations and some other things to help build this pool up. But basically, all I'm going to do is all the registration fees that come from pre-registering go into an account that I'm building with Luke Polcher and his company, and we're using it as a fund for these guys. I don't plan to make any money off this. I just need to pay staff, and that's it. I don't want to do anything other than that. So the $5,000 again is a reimbursement. So you will choose to go to Jody's tournament or whoever's tournament, as long as they're submitting their stuff to AERS and so forth. Then you go. We reimburse you all your expenses and everything. Air, hotel, entry fees, whatever. And then you go to your next tournament, and then you have a year time frame to spend that money. Otherwise, it just rolls back into the pool.
So it's like those you're at work and you got so much sick time, it's like use it or lose it type deal.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, that's fair.
Because use it or lose it within a year.
You have a bank, and it's like, okay, you got to use it or lose it. Now, there was another important factor in this, because if we're talking 64 guys at this one tournament, what kind of elimination process are we looking at?
Standard double elimination bracket. Now, the 64-man AERS Super Series bracket that I built is going to seed like your tournament ran, where the highest ones are on the one side, and it goes all the way down to the other side. That is built that way so that even the guys who are the lowest level have a chance to win out their side and get that potential spot to win the 5,000.
Yeah.
Like that.
Now, a lot of people disagree with that whole concept because they think it should be 1 versus 64 type thing. But it's not about, because that more is about trying to target the person who should win. I'm more targeting about the person that could win kind of thing. So
it makes it more interesting. It shouldn't be like, like March Madness where you got the top seed versus like the 16th seed and that kind of stuff. Because
it'll be just as hard. It'll be just as hard for you at the top, as it will be for the guy at the bottom.
Yeah. So now, if you're coming into this event and you're a 14, let's say you're a good 1400 and you're leveling up quickly, whatever, you still have skin in the game. You totally have an opportunity to win, because by the time you're pulling a 1450 or a 1500 or 1550, those guys have already arm wrestled themselves, like other 1450s and 1500s. And if you did good in your group, then you should come out maybe a little more fresh. And ideally, those guys come out just as tired. And so you have like these constant wars, these constant fair matches. which is what we want. Like, you know, some people were saying, like, I had a couple people message about having like higher level athletes compete in this. And it was like, I feel like all of arm wrestling is already tailored to high level arm wrestling. We have, and AERS wants to do stuff. Corey and I talk about this all the time. We want to like round robins, you know, select super matches, like pick two guys who have won and lost against all the same people, but they've never pulled each other. And they're both 1700s. Like that'd be cool, right? You know, and we can do that. We have the data. We know all of your wins and losses. We can find two guys who have won and lost against the same people, but have never pulled each other and put them up. You know, it's like it's really cool insight that AERS can do, right? But I think Corey's idea of just trying to promote more arm wrestling in that middle of the path athlete, I think it's how you grow arm wrestling. Like, think about are there more 1700 plus guys or more 1550 guys in the community?
Yeah.
Well, here's something to look at, and I want you guys to respond to this. I want everybody in the chat to respond to this. Multiple reasons why I like this, right? But one thing that sticks out, and let's just play devil's advocate for a second. Let's just say you got somebody like Frank Callahan and your boy over here who never got a chance to pull each other because Frank was at this tournament, but I wasn't. I was at this tournament, but Frank wasn't. And you're kind of going, that might be a good match. Let's see what happens. Something like this can present itself. So there ain't going to be no easy cakewalks up in here.
No.
I mean, match number one might be a grinder because there ain't no, you're never going to see me in the first round against Ron Bath. That won't happen, right? So you want to make sure you want this as even Steven as possible. So you'll get those matches, but you'll get those great matches to kick things off, not waiting till you get to the semis and the finals. You'll see that right off the gate. And I think doing it this way, does all that.
There's a really good point you're making, and I've talked to other like higher level guys about this because they not everybody's a fan of the closest seeding style that Corey made. They're more a fan of like a traditional seeding of number one versus the worst, et cetera, because like that, the number one guy is supposed to win the event. But if you do that, the number one guy is never going to get to pull the number two guy fresh for fresh. And when you're a high level pro and you're going to the tournament, are you going there to win a trophy or are you going there to test yourself against the next best guy?
Oh, because how many times, Frank, Corey, how many times have we either heard from a tournament, seen a tournament, or saw it in person and said, well, I don't know if so-and-so was, what can they do fresh for fresh? Well, yeah, he lost, but this guy was fresh because he had a bye. That guy had a grinder last match. And then how many times have we heard that scenario?
Oh, a million.
Yeah.
That's the story of arm wrestling. But doing the closest seed basically eliminates that. So like even someone who's like a middle of the pack guy like myself, I still get to go against the next closest middle of the pack guy. So it's like, because I don't want to pull Corey round one. I also don't want to pull, some 1300 round one. I want to pull someone who's close to me because maybe that's someone I'm naturally competing with all regular, right? Like on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And so, I know. I think this idea of doing the seating like that is really cool. I would like to test it more. Like we would love to have some events if they're interested. They should do that. They should seed their brackets like that and see, especially Corey, your system do it automatically. Like you can just seed the brackets based off that if they put in all their numbers.
Yeah, I have two versions. I have the one that sees the traditional that most people want to see, and then I have the other version.
Yep. Yeah. If there's anyone out there who wants to test that out.
Yeah. And so, the new version that just came out not too long ago has the seating for built into ARES. So if I type their number first and in their name, and I type everyone's names and numbers, when you click the create brackets button, it'll ask you if you want to sort for the seating, and it will seed the bracket based on ARES.
Oh, wow.
So it'll do it for you. So it's just a one click. You don't have to do anything fancy other than type the number. I mean, someday down the road, maybe we'll do some type of integration where it just looks it up or something, but that's ways down the road. But the main thing is I think, yeah, okay, so I don't know if Leonard and Denise wanted me to say this just yet, but they're wanting me to run USA Nationals potentially in Denver area, and they also want me to run it in the tier based like I did in Colorado. So they want to have me help them come run something in Denver areas or Colorado Springs like we did for Colorado State and do the tier. So there won't be a pro or AM. It will just be tier 1, tier 2. And my idea that in the long run, most tournaments would just say, okay, well, you could have 1 tier, you could have 2 tiers, you could have 3 tiers, you could have 15 tiers. I don't care. All you do is you type all the people's name into the list, and then you could say, I want to split it into 3 tiers, pro, amateur, novice. And boom, there you go. And it splits it into 3 tiers, makes your 3 brackets based on those 3 different separations, and there you go. You're good to go. So that would be the most ideal way of doing it in the long run, where you don't know the classes until you know how many tiers you have. And if you're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, you can have 15, and it'll just split all the brackets up for you. Yeah. So there might be a 54 and they have 3 tiers. There might be a 76 that has 6 tiers because there's enough or whatever.
The use case for that is like if I'm competing in a smaller regional qualifier in Texas, I can probably pull the pro class in place, no problem. But if I go to Washington State, well, the pros at that event are just the level is going to be so much higher that I'd probably qualify to pull amateurs. And so,
yes, Frank, December 2nd, by the way.
I know. Yeah. So basically, the way that works is based off of the talent you have at your event. What is a pro or an amateur could change, you know? And,
you don't need to know, really.
Yeah. You would just do it based off of rating. Say like, hey, take the top 8 rated guys. That's our pro class. The next 8 rated guys is, you know, and you can do that based off of how many athletes you have show up. You could also have athletes say, you know, on the sign-in sheet, say, hey, if I only qualify for tier 2, I also want to pull up a tier, or like I want to pull in the highest tier regardless. You know, you could give nuance because not everybody, maybe I just want to pull in the pro tier no matter what, because, you know, that's just what I want to do.
Right.
You know, you still give athletes that opportunity, but I don't know. I think it's the way. I think it's the future, honestly. Like every other sport in the world has a rating scorekeeping mechanism that allows you to allow for equal and fair competition all the time. Like arm wrestling is one of the only sports I know you just show up and you're like, I'm this good. And they go, okay, we'll take your word for it. And then you go and compete for money. Like crazy.
But yeah, to circle back to the 5,000 thing, so the athlete who wins gets the $5,000 reimbursement, or they have an option of taking a cash payout. If they take the cash payout, it's going to be probably like $1,500 to $2,000 or whatever, and then the rest of the money rolls over to the next one, to the next one, and the next one. So,
but how would you not? How would you not take that out? Because you gave us 2 options. Yeah. But how would you not? I mean, how would you not do that? Because you know, a lot of us don't have the financial backing to constantly go to this tournament, that tournament, that tournament, that tournament. You know, so I'm thinking, let's just say if I were to win, you know, the 242 left-hand class, and I'm going, okay, you know, I get X amount of money back, which means I can select any tournament I want to because I've earned that. So now I can go, if I ever want to go to Michigan State, guess what? I'm gonna do it.
There you go.
If I ever want to go to Colorado State, sorry I couldn't make it this year. I'm gonna go ahead and do that, you know. So
yeah,
that's what we're looking at. But I have to say, when this first edition rolls out, location. Yeah. Where do we see these events happening at?
So the idea is it's all pre-registered. So there will be nothing but pre-registration. You cannot just show up and pull. So that takes out of I happen to have a venue that I can do pre-reg and all that crap.
Right.
What I would like to do is something close to an airport so that it's in and out and you don't have to do cars and all that. It just be shuttle, whatever.
Fuck it. Have it inside the airport. Fuck it.
Yeah. And that has actually been there's a place that I know of that we could probably pull that off to where you could get off the plane, step on the scale, then an hour or two later you go on arm wrestle, and
I
then
was
you
just
leave.
joking. Are you dead serious?
Oh yeah, no, I'm 100% serious.
I was just saying.
There's a spot that I'm talking to that may. You've been to Denver Airport, right?
Yeah.
Denver Airport has a hotel in the airport. You can literally get off the plane and just fucking walk right to the hotel.
This is true.
So I'm in talks with them to see if I can pull something off in their little convention thing. Because honestly, we don't need a huge space. We just need the arm wrestlers to show up and make it easy and film it or pay-per-view it or whatever. And yeah, but the other options are something in Vegas, obviously. And then I've been talking to a couple other promoters. Tim Talmadge and them guys are looking at some places down there. But having them all over the place, so it's easy for most people to get to is the key. And make it as cheap as possible, obviously, to get in and out. But from there, it would be as simple as probably everyone weighs in on a Friday night or Friday, and then we arm wrestle first thing on Saturday, and you could go home on Saturday if you wanted to. Since there's no overhead or anything we have to worry about, no, they'll sign their forms. Everything will be done beforehand. You just have to make weight, and that's it. And
by the way, 64 pullers, not 150, not 270, where the tournament is like 8 goddamn hours long. So
yeah,
we come in here, do what we do.
Probably 2 hours max.
Yeah, it'll be the quickest. However, the most star-studded, most talented class there is, and it'll go boom, 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 boom. So it's kind of like, okay, and I think everyone's going to chime into that.
And we want to potentially just run one table the whole time, so that it gives more than enough breaks for everyone. Because that's one concern, is that you're having so many pullers pull all the time, you're not going to have enough breaks. Well, with one table going, you're going to get a good amount of breaks, like 10, 15 minutes between matches. And as it gets closer to the finals, you get less and less breaks, which is self-explanatory. But so yeah, I'm talking to a couple of different promoters out there that want to help out and get me locations and stuff like that. But the ones that I'm personally working on is very close to the airport in Denver. And I'm also looking at Vegas stuff, and some other locations with Tim and, Illinois area. But the $5,000, you get that. We have a swag package that we're going to give the person too. Yes. So Grip Arm Sports agreed to help me out with some swag, and AERS is going to help out with swag, obviously. And then we're talking to a couple of our affiliates to get them like Incrediwear gear and maybe something else. The puller that wins will, obviously wear the stuff or whatever. We'll promote them as they go. They're announcing they're going to go to, say, your tournament or something. We'll promote your event. They're coming, what weight classes they're going into, the whole 9 yards to make your event that much better, and everyone wants to come beat on that guy.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll do even some fun stuff where, like, if you get a guy that beats him at the tournament, or he doesn't win or something like that, maybe we do something fun where they win something, or who knows what.
We got two questions from the same person, Timmy Turner. Yeah. T-Double wants to know, Supermatch results play no factor in the rankings, or is he wrong? Yes or no?
He's wrong. We account for all tournaments, all super matches, and all round robins. There's nothing that doesn't count.
Even if they're out of country? That's different.
Slightly, yeah. I mean, Canada, I'm slowly trying to talk to the Canadians about coming on board. In obviously Mexico area.
Right.
But past that, that's, we don't have it. The idea is American, obviously.
Right. And his second question is, he says, I guess it's difficult to rank someone accurately if he's exclusively competing in super matches or had his last tournament years ago. And that's just it. And I'll go on and answer that. You guys can go ahead and chime in too. So as an arm wrestler, you have options. Like we all know, Michael Ty is going to be more interested in pulling one-on-one matches rather than tournaments. John Brzezink's going to pull more super matches rather than tournaments, although his super matches are highest of the high quality, whereas some people may need to pull this tournament, that tournament, and the other just to equal what he has in that one event, that one match.
To caveat off of that, though, all those people you've just described, I went out and got 10, 20 years worth of data on those guys. So all their stuff they used to pull, all the events that Michael Todd used to pull back in the day, I have a ton of those. And that's why he
thank
has
you, ArmTV.
Yeah, thanks, ArmTV. Yeah. And so, like Denise and Leonard's tournaments, Bill Collins' tournaments, ArmTV stuff, all those guys send in years and years and years. So yes, we know these guys now only do super matches. We know that. But I have so much data for them that it's incredibly difficult to say that Michael Todd doesn't belong where he belongs because I have 20 plus years of his stuff, So I get what he's saying, though, because there is a lot of newer guys that are just, that's all they do is they stick to the round robin, the super matches, whatever.
Yeah.
And they won't go anywhere else. And that's fine, This isn't meant for them. This is meant for the other 99% of the people out there arm wrestling, not the 1% or 0.2% that think they're super match only people.
Right. And Devin Forum with the link, follow you guys up. So matter of fact, I want to have everybody who's on the link, go ahead, click on this link that Devin Forum just put and type in your name and see where you're at. Because reason why I say that is because the thing is there's two different versions of your numbers, right? You have the IFA version, right? And you got the standard version. So for me, if I were to get up here and punch my name up, IFA style, then I'm 231 class. If I do it the standard style, then I'm a 242 class. And of course, it all, for everyone that doesn't know what Frank and Corey does, it also calculates, let's just say I want to pull the 242 class, but because I'm feeling pretty good, I'd rather go up and pull the 243 also. Plus, it's up there too. So you hit up anyone in class you pulled, and they have data on, your name will be up there, and your number will be right next to your name.
So you actually just hit on something that I was gonna point on. So you are ranked in, say, or rated in 220s, 230s, 242s, probably supers. So when the lists come out, you may notice that Jody is not actually available to compete in the 220s, but he's available to compete in the super heavyweights because his rating's bad enough.
Yeah, right. If you have 20 plus matches in the super heavyweights and you're a 1545,
right?
Even though you're a normal 220 puller, it's just the relative skill for you to pull in the super heavyweights.
I
mean, right now, based on the AERS system, I'm the guy walking at 230 pounds. However, I am top 15 in the supers because I would also pull, my class plus the one up there and did fairly well. AERS tells you all that. So there is that. Now, when it comes to the masters, I am the man. Yes. I know people don't talk about that. I will, because one day, hopefully next year in 2024, I will be on that podium at the IFA Worlds in Greece, the number one guy.
I'll be there with you, bud.
Class left-handed.
I get to compete Masters next year too.
See, welcome aboard.
33-4 left-handed in the super heavyweights, Jody. It's pretty gnarly.
And people think, oh, Jody, you're just a bunch of hot air. And it's like, you know what? I don't have to say a whole lot. And at this point, nobody should. All you got to do, Google me, like Shaq would say, Google me. Hey, AERS system, look it up. Go from there,
Yeah, and so this might be the first one we do, right? And it's the 98, it's the right-handed, whatever. The idea here is that, it could turn into there's 50 athletes, there's 100 athletes, and next thing you know, the money's rolling over and over and over, and I get more and more sponsors behind it. And next thing you know, the pool has $1 million in it, for that matter. And now you're talking these, you don't have to worry about ever paying for an arm wrestling tournament ever again. And not am I only saying that, but then we're directing people to go to these tournaments that they've never been to. Like, for example, Have you ever been to an East Coast event? I don't know, probably not. So
Nope.
we're going to say, Jody, to help you get better, we think you should go to this East Coast event, and here's our guy. We'll hook you up. We'll promote the whole thing, post it on AERS, Instagrams, Facebooks, the whole 9 yards, make videos of it.
I
You'll
will
wear all
wear
the
Aries
swag.
shirt, whoop all that asses. Yeah, that's what I would do. Aries
Yeah.
shirt, let's go.
And so then what that does in the long run is fixes that problem of those people who are only going out and pulling exclusive matches or only pulling in Texas and don't pull anywhere else. Now you got guys who are spreading the wealth around, and next thing you know, everyone's ratings become like pristine in no time at all, and no one's paying to go arm wrestle anywhere.
Yeah. So I want to say like two things on top of what Corey just said. The first thing being, like there are particular instances of individuals who like are only attending the same events every year and they win them. And so like their rating just keeps climbing because they're not losing, because they're just beating the same 10 guys over and over. Like we know that that's a thing. We know that that happens. No way around it except to encourage other athletes who are good to travel, go to those events, find those high rated people, find those 1800s that should not be an 1800, beat them, and then chop their rating down. Because, if I'm a 1600 guy and I beat an 1800 guy, it's a full 48 point swing, right? Like 28 points from them, and then 28 points for me. It's 56 points.
And that makes sense because you don't want a guy who's constantly going to Tyrone's Barbecue Shack Invitational winning, the reigning champ, winning 8 years in a row. It's like, you're killing me, man.
And that guy's not even, ranked top 100 in the country or whatever. The other thing, I wanted to say, Corey, is that as the stakes get higher for like these reimbursements and these AERS Super Series events, the number of matches that are required to show up would probably go up, right? Like if we're going to host, say, a $10,000 event, we wouldn't want, like we'll say, hey, well, now you have to have 30 matches minimum. But the reason is, one, it'd make it even more accurate for the attendees. And two, it's good for everybody, because that means all those arm wrestlers across North America who are at like 15, 20 matches, they're like, oh shit, I need to hit 3 more events before the end of the year, so I qualify for the 2025 AERS Super Series. That's good for everyone. That's just promoting arm wrestling, more entry fees for promoters across North America. Like we don't get anything from that. We're just encouraging everyone to literally go arm wrestle more, so that way their stats are more concrete, and that way when they come to our event, we have closer and more fair matches. But I want to be clear that benefits everybody, and there's nothing selfish in that claim of like, hey, you need to get 10 more matches before you qualify. Don't go pull your friend in your backyard, but go to Washington State, go to Missouri State, go to Mississippi State, pull some big events, and get what I call like an established rating.
And I thought about, December 2nd, by the way, everybody, Washington State, please be sure to be there. Corey, you going to be there?
More than likely, yeah.
Frank, you going to be there?
I'm on the fence right now. I've done a lot of arm wrestling in the last 8 weeks.
I get it, man. I thought about going there and just say, fuck it, and put my left hand on the fucking chopping block, because match with Paul Stevens, right? There's that. Pull my weight class. There's that. Pull the supers. There's that. Pull the masters. There's that. I thought about saying, fuck it, put my left arm through the gauntlet just to end the 2023 on a good note and see where the numbers fly. But I got something going on in January, so I probably won't want to do that. But the thing is, though, is that, and I've said this before on my show, my other show with Ryan Espy, where arm wrestling's at a good spot, aside from all the trolls. But it gets to a point where, hey, there's always something for somebody. If you're that elite puller, yeah, you're going to go king of the table. You're going to go east versus west and so on. If it's a tournament style base, you have the AERS system, because now it's like, you know what? I think I'm going to go here, because we all know the elite guys, although for promotions I just mentioned, there's a good chance you will not see them at a tournament because they're doing their thing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and so
I'll go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say so you brought up a good point. So at Wyoming, we did the Super Series where it was super matches, but team-based super matches, and the idea is that we build from this point, building the 64-man stuff up, and then move into like the 1600 level guys, plus they're getting into these round robins. And I've been talking with Lorray about merging what he's already doing into what we're doing. And so we might start doing round robins based on that, and use those 1600 plus guys into that sort of stuff. Then leaving the super matches for, like what you said, the super elites, and we have money for those guys to be able to. So everyone's gonna have a spot, right? They're gonna. It's just the base comes from all the normal guys, all the guys who are going out competing all the time and going to tournaments. Those are our base. Those are the guys I want to help out first. Then it's the round robin kind of guys that are that in between elite, in between pro, high level pro guys. Then it's super match elites or whatever. So that's kind of the idea going forward, is build from the base, go up from there, put money behind it that's self-generating from the guys who are already pulling anyways, and make it big. And honestly, I just really want to do the 64-man simply because it's never been done before. And
no, that's good. And what I'll add to what I like about this, the sponsorship, right?
Yeah.
Like not everybody has a sponsor, and this, if you win this thing, you have the backing. So when you have the backing and sponsorship, you can go to these tournaments, you'll get the AERS t-shirt, you're going to represent them. And it's like going, okay, cool. And now you have the money for it, because I just came out of a situation just recently where I went to an event, there was money to be had, and it went sideways. So I was like going, okay, what the fuck? But this situation right here, it does pay for your trip. It does, take care of a hotel accommodation. All you got to do is just show up. All the financial headache is not an issue once you win. It's winner take all, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So with that being said, what if you got guys that pull multiple classes? Because you're going to have guys that pull the 198. So I'm going to go do that one. Reap the benefits. Congrats. Then you guys 2 months later have a 220. Oh, I'm going to go pull that one. Take first place. Reap the benefits.
Again, if you qualify for one.
Yeah, if you qualify.
Yeah. And then, I mean, we're going to make some, in the first couple ones, if you're in both of them, obviously I'm only going to let you do one or the other, but because we want it to benefit the group of all, not just a couple.
Right.
So you can't have Jody winning 3 classes, that'd be crazy.
No, and I'm glad, because then I think if that were to happen, I think then a lot of people would shy away from it. Being that this is the first of its kind, you want to make sure it's exclusive to everybody. Like, hey, everybody gets a shot. So you could have that winning lottery ticket, but everybody gets a shot. So with that being said, I can't imagine everybody's going to be on pins and needles going, hey, Corey, Frank. So, and I swear to God, when I post this video up today, rightfully so, you'll be getting some inbox messages going, hey, so when's the first one going to be? What class are you doing first? Where's it going to be?
We probably a couple hundred messages between Corey and I and the ARES page. Also, like we had a spike in views in the last couple of days too on the website, users, which is awesome. Everyone, it's interesting that the second we talk about sponsoring an athlete, everyone's all real interested in ARES all of a sudden. But
you know what helped out more, I think, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but
Colorado State.
Before that, was it Wyoming where you guys had that super series, the 5-on-5, Team Yellow versus Team Red?
Yeah.
I think that, and I mean, we all knew about it. ARES was on a map, but when you had the 5-on-5 and the way that Brad could release the videos, 1, give it a week and a half, maybe 2, second one, and everybody was like, okay. And because I'm an arm wrestling fan, we all knew the day of the event that Bob Brown had beaten Jamie Sheldon. But because I'm a fan, I like to know how that happened. So we waited for like, I don't know, maybe 2-3 weeks. And everybody was asking Brad, hey, when are you going to see the Bob Brown, Jamie Sheldon match? And, for me, I'm thinking, I already know who won, but I want to know, how did Bob win? And it's that. You had Team Yellow and you had Team Red. I'm like going, this is nice, you know. So I kind of like that format, and I saw some live footage of Colorado State too. So again, this is interesting. I like what you guys are doing and stuff. And now people are going to say, "Hey, when's the next event?"
Right. And you know, like I've said before, I want to make it as clear as possible. This is not some type of money grab for ARES to make money. This is simply to get guys out to tournaments and go to tournaments that are supporting ARES, that are sending their brackets into us, and we just want to run it. We just need just enough money to be able to run this thing and get that $5,000 out there. And right. I've already had a couple of people hit me up about helping out and sponsoring, putting some money behind us. We have some plugs into a couple of other vendors that are hopefully going to be potential backers as well. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I've said it before, but the way bull riding basically grew up is this very similar way. They just pooled their money together and they kept getting bigger and bigger rodeos. And next thing you know, they got $1 million rodeo. I mean, it sounds crazy, but it's literally that simple. It's just, if we all work together to make this happen, next thing you know, there won't be, Frank won't have to pay to go to tournaments anymore. He'll just be, oh, well, I still have 10 grand in my sponsorship pool for the rest of the year, and I can go wherever I want.
It can happen. You want to know why? How you want to know how this crazy it could happen? Look at this theory. If you got 500,000 people to give you $2, you'd be a millionaire.
Yeah. And what did we say, Frank? What's the numbers for this year alone? How many pullers? 7,000 or?
Yeah, around a little over. Actually, I sent you all the numbers. Hold on.
Yeah,
I'll pull it up real quick.
It's like, I think there was like 7,000 arm wrestlers this
year.
Yeah,
there's 7,000 arm wrestlers who have in ARES who have arm wrestled at least once this year or in the last 365 days.
So just think about that, Jody.
Yeah.
7,000 arm wrestlers this year alone have arm wrestled one time.
Woo! Man. And Arm Wrestling Showcase says, shout out to Corey and Frank. Thank you guys for pushing the needle forward for arm wrestling. By the way, I love the ARES 3 tiers at Colorado State. It helps keeps the pros out of the amateur classes. And I can't stress that enough because we all know we got those yahoos in there that'll sit there. Oh, yeah, I did all that. I'm like going, dude, stay the fuck out of the amateur because we know good and damn well you're just smoking everybody. It'll show, too. Yeah. It'll show.
Yep. No, that's the whole reason behind it, to push people harder and push them faster through, where they belong. Maybe a guy should be in the amateurs and he keeps pulling pro matches and he'll go to where he belongs. Or maybe he's on that borderline of being able to jump back and forth, or he's really just not that good and he just has an unfortunate time of pulling against the best all the time. That stuff goes away. He gets a better opportunity. He gets his money's worth. You get your money's worth, so on and so forth. So
right.
I got a question for you too. Kind of off topic, but kind of not off topic because it's starting to happen to me. Do you guys ever, and in the chat, y'all feel free to chime in. Do you ever find yourself in these difficult situations where you got to go, okay, I want to go to this tournament, but I also want to go to that tournament. And I can only do one. Do you ever find yourself in those kind of situations, and how do you handle that?
I get this all the time.
Yeah, I normally just find out if I have any friends who are going. Normally, it comes down to funds. Like right. if I have 2 events that are 2 weekends back to back, or like a week back to back, and obviously I'm not going to compete in a tournament a week after one another. I'll just I'll message Corey or Tim or any of my friends in Texas and be like, hey, are you going to this event? Are you going to this event? And if any of them are like, well, yeah, we're going to that one. I'm like, all right, like, let me split hotel fees and a car rental and all that stuff with you. And I'll hit that one up. That's normally how I decide. If I get to a point where I'm encroaching on like this top 20 spot in the nation, then I would probably start really dialing it in based off of who I know is going. And, looking at ARES to find out who went last year. Like who's in the Pro 220s last year? These guys, I want to pull both these people, you know, and see if I can't make it happen. People do that all the time. People tell me like, oh, hey, who's showing up to that event? And they're like, hold on, I'm scrolling AERS. I'm seeing who was in the 198s last year. And so people are already doing that. And to me, that's just another use case of like the idea of having all the results stored somewhere obviously is beneficial for everybody. Even if you're not even if you are a really high level guy, even if you are an 1800 plus, you still just want to see who showed up, right?
Well, yeah, because there's times I'd be at a crossroads where, if you talk to a certain promoter or whatever, or organizer and says, hey, I got a match for you, you're going to pull this person. And I was like, that's intriguing. I like that match. And then like down the road, but you haven't committed yet. And then down the road, you may have, oh, wow, here's a tournament coming up. And there's at least 3 to 4 guys that I know I match up well with, but you just don't know. Like, you just don't know, but you want to know. And then you're kind of going, right?
Well, now you win this thing and you don't have to guess no more.
Exactly, right? So, looking at that way, it's just like, man, it gets difficult because arm wrestling is so oversaturated now, in a good way, by the way. Oversaturated. And I think COVID did some good things and bad things. I think COVID wiped out a lot of stuff, but at the same time, because of that, I think our sport came back a lot stronger because I don't think AERS was around pre-COVID, was it?
No. And I was actually looking at some numbers today. I'm pulling it up right now. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so it was June of 2022 when the numbers started to tick back up. Again, we don't have a ton, like compared to 2022 and 2023, where now like 99% of promoters are sending in their data. We didn't have that sort of support for like old stuff. But you can see like in areas, like in the number of people who are pulling in tournaments, the numbers during COVID are like in the low hundreds. Like we're talking like on any given month, like 50 people arm wrestled or less across North America. Like there was nothing. And then all of a sudden of June 2022, those numbers all jumped up to like 300, 400, 400, 400, all for like basically till now. And like those are new pullers. So arm wrestling is growing right now. Like I sent Corey some numbers this morning. The number of pullers today is more than there's ever been. Like substantially.
Yeah.
And as you know, I am looking now as we speak, and your boys
11.
Sitting at number 11.
You are not going to qualify.
What's that?
There's no way you're qualifying.
Well, I mean, think about it. So like right now I'm looking at myself. I'm number 11, open left-handed 242 plus. But if it's just 242, I'm number 55. So
means you should probably just bulk up and go to 43 plus, boy.
Well, I mean, because the number at 242 plus is 1754.49, but 242 standard is 1573.16. So
I think I could have changed that for you if you would have came to Colorado State.
Yeah, there you go. See, so and by the way, I still owe you, Corey. I haven't forgotten. Yeah. I still owe you. So whether it be Wyoming or Colorado State next year, I still owe you. And I hope that doesn't interfere with Worlds, because I know that's late September, early October.
Yeah, we're going to Worlds too. Already told me, like we're already trying to figure it out. So I got to win Masters and I got to win my class and whatever else.
I sat there and told my wife, I was like, babe, IFA Worlds will be in Greece, and she said done in all caps. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a bucket list tournament for her. I was like, all right, then we have to go to the necessary avenues. That means we got to go to Dayton, Ohio first. You got to go through that. So, but again, when you have something like that, then it's like, oh, okay, Worlds probably won't have anything to do with this because you're pulling so many international people. It just doesn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless
and I do want to point out that if we get this done and the first person wins, if that person wants to use that money to go to Worlds or a portion of the money to go to Worlds, I'm being more than happy to allow that to happen. I know that won't count towards AERS, but going to Worlds, in my opinion, is by far the best thing that anyone could ever do. I mean, it is going to make you a better arm wrestler.
Yes.
So there's just that I want to point that out. I know that's not one of the AERS events or anything like that, but if the person did want some of that money to go to Worlds, I'll game there.
Arm Wrestling Showcase says, my suggestion would be to add a link for all future tournaments where pullers can pay ahead of time and put their name on the list. Yep. Then other people ahead of time can see who will be there. Yes, yep. Because we all know, and back in the early days, Corey, this was, back in the Gary Roberts Arm TV days. Hey, back in the Northeast message board days, it was all about who was showing up.
Oh, yeah.
Back when payouts where first place was $300 and people were still showing up. Not so much now, but payouts were $300. Everybody showed up and you kind of figured out who was going where. And there was talk on the message board. And now what Arm Wrestling Showcase just mentioned, I like that because then you have an idea. And as I was saying to Frank earlier, you know what? If something like that was implemented, I can go, oh, he's going to be there because they registered. All right, F it. Hey, you know what? No offense. I can't go to your event. Something came up. I'll get you down the road. I want to go here because now there's a person, Frank Callahan, is going to this tournament. I want to know where I stand with Frank Callahan. Let's go ahead and do that. Just as an example. That's what Showcase was saying.
Yeah, so for the 64-man, that is exactly what we plan on doing. It'll have the bracket posted online to kind of show you where you'll sort of seed into place to. It'll be like made up until like obviously the rest of the people get in, but everything will be paid for online, pre-registration only, and you will get seeded into the bracket, and the list will be posted online constantly to have the you qualify but haven't entered and the ones who have entered type thing. So yes, so that I'm not saying that we're ready to start doing that for all events because. As we all know, there's a million different event lists out there, and I think armfighter.com does probably the best of all of them. For the 64-man stuff in general or the Super Series stuff in general, yes, it'll end up being just like that, where everything is going to be told. You're going to know how much money's in the pool. All that stuff is going to be well presented to everybody. So there's no hiding anything. It's just there, and you're not going to be able to hide in the bracket anyways. Like most tournaments, you're going to be put in the spot where you belong, and you'll have to figure out how to win that thing. But so that's already in the works. It's just picking the class, stuff like that.
Yeah, 76, 98,
whatever.
Here is the question. I purposely saved this question for the end of the show. All right, here it is. When will we see the first edition of this new Super Series roll out? Can we speculate?
If I can make it happen and I get the venue locked up soon, it's going to be probably sometime beginning of next year. So February, March, April, somewhere around there.
Now, I don't want to get, I don't want to say, hey, where out? Because, you haven't had lockdown yet, but what region are we thinking about?
For my ease, it would probably be in Denver, right next to the airport or something like that. So it's super easy to fly into, shuttle from the airport, so you don't have to get cars or nothing. I might even make it to where you can be a one-day only kind of thing.
Come off the airport, go ahead and register as you fucking wait for your luggage to come through the carsel.
Dude, I'm serious. If I can get that hotel that's at the damn airport, we're fucking arm wrestling at the airport. Like, you'll just get off the plane.
Like, people are walking by. Can you imagine? No, I'm being for real. Can you imagine? You got people walking by and stuff, and they're like going, hey, come check this out and stuff. And think about it. Like, man, can you talk about groundbreaking and 64-man bracket? I mean, does it get any better than that? Like, man, I'm serious. You two are onto something. I'm telling you right now. Because I've been caught up in the super matches and all that kind of stuff, which, I dearly like. And I've been grateful for the opportunities I've gotten this year. But I'm telling you, you always want to be a part of something new. You always want to be a part of something different. And damn it to hell, well, obviously, and we talked to y'all on the show before we went live. We talked about the most active classes. Now, I'm not trying to sit there and tell you what classes should be going first, but we all know based on the AERS system, the 198 class and the 220 class are by far the most active classes of all. That's just, but are we going by that or IFA classes? That's a trick question because then it changes everything.
It'll probably be a range when we start getting rolling, but to begin with, since most everyone uses the standard WAF type classes, it'll probably stick to those numbers in the beginning. But once it gets rolling, it can go from there. As far as live streaming goes, I'm looking at pay-per-viewing, so anyone who doesn't come, and I can pay-per-view that, and then obviously take the pay-per-view money and throw it into the pool. So
think about it, 64, but it won't be like, okay, and I want to say this one more time just so everybody doesn't get confused. When Corey and Frank are saying the 64 guys, he's not saying 1 through 64. That's not what he's saying. So I want everybody to understand that. So if you're sitting up at 72, you're like going, well, fuck it. I got to go ahead and go these next 2 tournaments before the year's up just so I can get those numbers up. That's not what they're saying. But one more time, explain how that process will help it. As my sister Sarah's in the house. What's up, Sarah?
Yeah, and that's another thing we plan on doing women's, and I even had the idea of possibly doing youth kids or something like 18 or whatever. But yeah, we per weight class per hand, we will have a different number of qualifying up and down rating. So 1,500 is that number that kind of works for almost everything. But we plan on trying to get it very precise per weight class per hand, and then the very minimal match is 15. We would prefer guys who are up here. These guys will be more highly recruited, if you want to say, rather than the guys down here that are just barely making it in.
It's like a draft. You said it first. Hey, you know what's gonna be funny? You two are gonna go live one of these days, and all of a sudden it's gonna be like a fucking draft, and all of a sudden, all right, guys, here are the 64 people, and if you don't register, then someone takes your place to register, and we'll start pulling names out, like going, "Oh, I made it, sweet, hey, babe."
That's actually
where we going.
What's funny is you said that because that's actually how I wanted to present the 100 names or whatever it was.
See that? And I tell you what, if you really wanted to, your boy over here, if you said, you know what, you might get youth, we'll do all that. You get the ladies, you get the open guys. Just for shits and giggles, we'll do the masters, and then they can get swag full of icy hot and ibuprofen. Fuck it. Let's do it that way.
Yeah, and I actually been sending the arm fighter ranking guys, some mock brackets, and I sent a couple to Frank too. But like mock setups of the classes that I haven't told anybody yet.
Right.
And I was like, hey guys, just go ahead and try to pick a winner from this. And you would not believe the shit show that happened. They were like, oh, that guy's going to win. No, he would definitely win. Oh, this. I was like, perfect. This is great. It's going to work.
So Timmy
if you guys can't select a winner, it's perfect.
Yeah. Not every arm wrestler has a colorful personality or is a great trash talker. Granted, they have good rankings, and the AERS helps to put the spotlight on the pullers who prefer to let the results speak for itself. Yeah, exactly. I'll sit there and go, I'll fuck everybody up. Why? Because the AERS says so. The AERS says so. I mean, let's be real. We're not blowing smoke. This ain't smoke and mirrors. Hey, yeah. Christian Green says you're going to have tons of people begging to get in. Hey.
Oh, dude, they're already out of control, man. I haven't even posted the damn list, and I got people asking. Put me in.
Woo! I'm telling you right now. Hey, guys, don't beg.
Yeah. Hey. I mean, I would encourage, I think, to have, like, when we come up with a list, like when we generate the list is probably going to be sorted based off of rating and number of matches. So even if your rating falls within the right range, if you don't have if you only have 15 matches, but there's 64 guys above you that have 25 matches, they'll have priority because we want people with the most amount of matches with the most established ratings. So it's not like people are like, oh, I've met 14 matches, I just need one more tournament. Just want to stress the people who have 25 matches in our 1550, quote, air quotes, those guys will get selected first, 100%. They'll have first pick.
This is when you want to go to Washington State and go, fuck it. Here it is. Here's plan A. Paul Stevens super match. Oh, left-hand masters, left-hand open heavies, left-hand open supers. Fuck it, because guess what? Oh, pull my name. It's a lottery ticket. We're going live, folks.
And to also make a point to what Frank's saying, once the list does get posted, if Frank could say, like, he's in the list, let's just use an example, and he's a 1400, it will greatly benefit him to get as close to 15 or 1550 or whatever the highest number is before the actual 64-man hits, because he's going to get seated at the highest point in the bracket possible, and means every match gets a little bit easier for him rather than being in the middle of the pack. So those numbers are going to dynamically change throughout the time once they're locked in. So, it's not just like, hey, get me into the class and then just stop arm wrestling and train and do nothing else. But you're gonna want to seed yourself properly. So,
and as Christian Green says, but only the weight class you pull counts. So pulling all weight class wouldn't do much. And I think what Corey was saying earlier is the fact that he'll select, like, okay, I'm not going to have you pull this class. That we're not doing that. You're going to be selected into one class, and that's the class you're let's just say, what's the word I want to use?
Well, for me, like if I'm a 76 guy and I can also pull 98s, 220s, 242, and I qualify in all of them, you're going to get one to go to. I would pick your best one you go to. So, like Jody probably is going to qualify for the 42 class, but he's definitely not qualifying for the supers because he's too good. So
why is your super score so much better? How come you're 33-3 in the supers?
Because he hasn't pulled any good arm wrestlers.
Whoa. Hey now. I put my neck on the line a lot of times, like I said. And then, like I said, hey, next month, well, are we 2 weeks away from the World Series of Arm Wrestling Finals in San Diego? That does have precedent, even though the weight class is 239.
Yep.
That would be what, though? That would be 242 then?
242, yeah.
Okay. Yep. So there's that. Hey, there's that.
Every tournament, dude, I get probably, this weekend alone has, God, I don't even know how many events, like 10, 15 events this weekend. So a lot of stuff is about to change. And that round robin is going to just totally destroy the 98 class. So
I'm telling you right now, I gotta get a hold of Tom Match and go, bro, who's live feeding that? Because the array of talent in that 198 class this weekend, it's like, are you like, what the hell?
Lorraine's live streaming it, I think, and they're tag teaming with Arm Sports Entertainment.
Okay. That is something you don't want to miss. I'm telling you right now. Yes, Christian Green, I need to get better. I suck. So I got to up my game, So, but yeah, this right here, I'm telling you, because we're on the tail end of 2023, folks. Like, there's only a handful of tournaments left. So I got 2 tournaments left in me for the rest of the year. That's the one in San Diego in 2 weeks, and then in December at Washington State. So now it'd be a good time for me to go in there, put all my eggs in one basket, and say, let's get it, let's do it. So, but again, a lot depends on who shows up in your class. That's the one thing that kind of sucks, because you got 2 jobs, or you got 2 responsibilities: 1, show up, and 2, pull. You can't deal with the other stuff. All the rest is just details.
Yep.
So, but hey, I love it, gentlemen. We've been on here for 1 hour and 8 minutes, and I think a lot of questions were asked and a lot more were answered. And I'm going to say, gentlemen, I am so excited for this. And as soon as you understand that and roll the red carpet out, I will be excited to share this, blast this thing all over. But first things first, I'm going to take this show, I'm going to blast it all over social media and go, man, check it out, because this is something you don't want to miss. 2024-ish. Yeah, maybe February, March, give or take, whatever.
Should have the list out before then, though.
Okay, cool.
And we'll have a list of people who are like close. It'll be arranged. Maybe we'll color code it so you can see. I don't know, something fancy. But the idea is just to show people, like, hey, who's here's in question. If these people get X more matches, they'll 100% qualify or whatever. Because I know like AERS has been getting a lot of hits lately, and it's because people are going. I'm pretty sure they're like, okay, I'm 12 and 12, 24 matches right hand,
Right.
24. Okay, and I'm a 1548. When am I pulling? And like they're doing the numbers right. It'd be cool if we could just give that to people. Although we appreciate the traffic.
Like I said, monumental. And I'm telling you, when y'all release that list, I'm telling you what, Christmas gonna come early for somebody. That's all I'm saying. End of.
And just to point out, like Frank was saying, get on the website, go check your name. If there's any spelling or anything else wrong with your names, you have multiple names, whatever, let us know. We want you to be accurate. There's sometimes bracketers make mistakes and they type the wrong name. They might mark the wrong win. We can fix all that stuff. So
you spelled Chocolate Thunder wrong.
Yeah, we can fix all the brackets. We can fix whatever the problem is, we can fix it. So just hit us up on Facebook, on Messenger, whatever, and we'll fix them. But that is probably one thing we've seen the most recently is that people have noticed that, well, they spelled my name wrong, or they did this wrong, or they marked a win when I lost, or whatever. But we need to fix those before this goes live, because that could make or break your ability to get into this thing. So the more accurate it is, the better.
Yeah. And there's a lot, it's we catch a bad rap for it all the time. People message me, be like, hey, these aren't accurate because my name's spelled wrong. And I'm like, whoa. We didn't spell your name wrong. Okay. First of all.
Oh, telling people to shut the fuck up and all that.
Second of all, just tell me what tournament it was or whatever. And it takes me, Corey, how long does it take to do a name change?
30 seconds.
We have this thing streamlined. It auto updates, it auto recalculates. We make the name change. It's a find replace, and it updates. Like, it's quick for us. We just need to hear.
You need to know
what's wrong.
We need to calm down, because half these people who write in cursive, can't nobody read that spaghetti looking language.
I was helping Corey with the entries at Colorado State, and in the 30 minutes, maybe it was like. Yeah, basically 30 minutes of me. I was like reading and rereading, like fine print, like what is this person's name? Kunus. And I'm like, I think it's like this. And then meanwhile, same exact moment, 2 or 3 people are like, hey, I entered tier 2, but I want to do tier 1 also. Or hey, can you move me here? Or hey, have you already typed in my name? Or hey, can I see the bracket? And it's like, I mean, Corey knows it's the life all the time. It was my first time doing all that, and I was like,
"He never wants to run another tournament again."
This is crazy. These people are crazy.
He did it for 30 minutes, and he's done.
I was like, this is a lot.
What I want everybody to do, y'all got homework. We're about to shut this down now, because I know Frank has to get back to work. Corey has to get back to work. Thank you for joining me on the show. But here's everybody in the chat. Here's your homework. I want you to go to that website, whether it be Facebook or the actual website itself, type in your name, look up all the classes you're rated in, and cross your fingers, and maybe your name might get selected. I'm telling you, it's like a draft. It's like you sit there and kind of go, all right, today's the day, and damn it to hell, I assure you, here's the date. Here's Frank and Corey. Hey, guys, just so you know, AERS are going to release this first, seating thing. We're going to announce the 64 people in this class. Everybody, at what time? We're going to go 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. Oh, here we go. Here we go. People are going to be at home and shit. Got their fucking beverage and shit. Babe, tell the kids to go outside and play. I got to hear this shit. It's going to be so funny and so exciting. People are going to sit there and go, oh, my God. Come on.
I hope so. I hope to God they do.
I think it is. But there's a double-edged sword, because we all know when that person's name is not selected, dude, I didn't get selected. Why not? So you're going to get that. That's just what it is.
Oh, yeah. But don't worry. We're thick-skinned at this point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But no, you guys have done so much for the sport. And if they complain about you, they need to shut the fuck up and go find something to do, because what you guys do, I know I couldn't do it. And it ain't like you got a whole team doing this. You got certain people, running the system. But as far as plugging in the numbers, I do believe it's just you two, yes?
Yeah. No one, I don't think Yeah, no one else has touched any of the tournament data or anything.
So there's stuff that you guys can do that can't nobody else do. And it's like, it's interesting. So, but anyway, guys, thank you for joining me on Thirsty Thursday edition of Arm Talk. I appreciate that. Everybody, hit the like button. I'm going to repost this. I want you to help by sharing this. Look your name up. That's your homework. Look up your name, see where you are, and cross your fingers. And hopefully Santa will bring you a gift early, because come next year, 2024, I'm telling you right now, it is on. So, gentlemen, thank you again. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, you guys should go subscribe to the website or the Facebook page. We only have 1.9K followers, and there's like 9,000 arm wrestlers in North America. So, not sure.
Hell? I bet you we got more people out of country. Yeah.
Like,
okay.
follow, share, Instagram, Facebook.
Yep. Yeah. So that's where we're going to post everything, anyways. So that everybody needs to go follow that site. Otherwise, you're not going to get the updates.
All right.
There you go.
All right,
Devin
gentlemen.
shared it.
Thanks a lot. We'll talk soon.
Later.